What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today is just going to be a very quick video, I promise, on how to introduce a normal household plant into your aquarium hobby. Kind of merging the two together, you can keep household plants in your aquariums, and better yet, you never have to water them because the roots will be in the water, so they will always be getting that water. You never have to take the time out of your day to water them, and you can still enjoy their beauty, and they will actually return a benefit to the aquarium by taking all the nitrate out of the water. So just like an aquarium, a live aquarium plant does, these external plants with the roots in the water will do essentially the same thing. So I've done this before with a plant called Pothos. You can do it with a couple different plants as well, but my favorite is Pothos, and the way it grows, it creates like a vine. You can dangle it down your aquarium sides and stuff. It's a really beautiful plant. So here I have just a Pothos plant. You can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, any hardware store, any garden type store for $5, $6, $7, $8, somewhere around there. I would be surprised if you paid more than 10, unless you went to like a local mom and pop shop where they might charge you like up to like $15 or so. Again, I would recommend just going to a hardware store. So I've had this specific Pothos in my house for a couple weeks now. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time. But essentially all we're going to do is the Pothos should be in a couple different pieces, just all put together in the soil. So what I like to do is over a tray, of course, just dump it out and see what you're working with, how many plants you're working with. So if I can even get this thing out. And you don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to break the stems or anything like that. But as you can see, it's well rooted. I don't know if you can see it too well. But all we're going to do, so we're going to start pressing very lightly on the soil, and we're going to start breaking this thing up, and we're going to see exactly how many different pieces this is in, because each piece will basically go into its own separate aquarium. So let's start breaking this up. All right, so that took a lot longer than I thought because these roots are very thick and they lined the entire inside of the pot, so they were all wrapped together. But we got them out. We only broke a couple roots, a little bit on purpose. I left enough root on each one of them to where I can dunk these in the aquarium. The plant itself has to stay out of the water, but the roots go in the water. If your leaves on a Pothos are inside of the water, your Pothos is not going to do very well. It might look fine for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, but the leaves don't like to get wet, at least not submerged. So always keep your leaves out of the water. If you see that they ever fell into the water, it's fine if they're in the water for a day or two. Just take them out as soon as you possibly can. Just to keep them as healthy as possible. But anyways, this is what you're working with. So what I like to do is at this point, now that I have them all separated into their own stems, I like to dip the roots into a little bowl of water, and I like to get all the remaining dirt off. So I'm going to go get a bowl of water, and we are going to do that real fast. And I'll show you what comes next. All right, so I have my bucket of water here. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip the roots in and the stem as well, and I'm just gonna gently massage and get all of that excess dirt off, because you don't want that dirt in your aquarium. It's fine if you get dirt in your aquarium, but if you have a pretty landscape, you have like white sand and stuff like that, you don't want any of this nasty dirt in there. So go ahead and give it a good rinse and just kind of massage the roots in the water and get all the excess dirt off. Alrighty, so what you should be left with after you're done gently massaging all the dirt off is you should be able to see probably about 80 to 90% of the root. It should be like a beigeish color. Of course, you're not going to get all the dirt off, and there are going to be some darker spots where it looks like dirt, but it's not actually dirt. So like I said, a little bit of dirt in your aquarium is fine as long as it's not an excessive amount. So to me, that's a pretty tolerable amount to go into the aquarium. Whatever dirt falls to the substrate, I'm just gonna gravel back up during a water change over the next couple weeks. But anyways, out of one Pothos plant, we have 6 different pieces, some a little bit bigger, some a little bit smaller, and that's pretty typical. I'm pretty sure the last pothos plant I did, because I've done this before in my last fish room, had about 6 or 7 different pieces as well. And after a few months, they became so, I'm talking multiple feet long. One of them I think was about 6 feet long, because again, it's like a vine plant. So you only really need one of these starter plants, and once it's in your aquarium for a good amount of time, that thing is going to take off, especially if you have fish in the aquarium making nitrate. This is going to eat that nitrate, food for the plant. Plant is going to give reduce those nitrates and basically supply nutrients back to the fish. So it's an all-around perfect world. And if you hang them at the top of your tank, eventually these roots are going to hit the substrate. And if you have a nice planted aquarium with sand or aqua soil or something like that, and these roots eventually get into that sand and aqua soil, that is going to accelerate the growth in these plants, because they're going to eat all of that nutrients from that substrate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get these onto some tanks and start adding some extra plants to the tanks. All right, so this is one of my fish tanks. This is my blue Phantom Pleco tank. Let me actually zoom out a little bit so that way you can see. So all we're going to do is we are going to be placing this in the aquarium, but like I said before, the leaves are going to have to stick out. So for starters, and I'll probably come back and adjust this later, but all we're going to do is make sure all the leaves are out, and I just like to rest the stem right on the side of the aquarium there. You can better secure this with like a little suction cup or something like that, but I find that for starters, just the curve of the stem right here and the leaf will basically grab onto the corner of the tank, and it's not going to fall in the water and it's not going to fall out. So you can see the roots are just dangling down in there. As long as you don't have any fish in there that are going to think that the roots are worms, like an axolotl or something like that, then you're going to be perfectly fine just leaving the roots in like that. I like to put the pothos towards the back of the tank personally, and not in the front where it's visually in the way. Might have to do this on the other side, because once this starts growing out and the roots grow out inside the tank, the leaves grow out and stuff like that, you're not going to want all of that in the front of your tank. You want it in the back, at least me personally, I do, so that way it's a nice display. So eventually, if I were to put a piece of pothos, probably like 3 more in this tank and then a couple more in this tank over here, it would essentially grow and line this whole thing. What I could also do is once this starts vining over here, I could bring it to the front along the side of the tank and then drop it down this post. I could do that as well. There's plenty of options with this sort of plant. So out of the 6 pieces that we have, I'm just going to do that to more tanks. I'm probably only going to put 1 piece in multiple tanks, because as you know, we have multiple fish tanks. So I'm just going to put 1 piece of pothos in various tanks, and we'll see how it looks. Alrighty, so there we have it. All the pothos is in 6 different tanks at the moment. It looks really dinky right now, and it looks like it's not going to do very much. But trust me, it's a live plant. It is eating nitrates, and it is doing more than you think. And also, like I said, these things are going to skyrocket, because it's going to take nutrients out of the fish tank, the bad nutrients that you don't want in the fish tank. It's going to eat that, and it's going to replace it with good nutrients. So it's the fish tanks are helping the pothos, and the pothos are helping the fish tanks. So it's just all around a awesome, I'm blanking on the word, but it's good for both parties. But anyways, if you've liked this video, go ahead and take a second and give me a thumbs up on the video, please, and thank you right down below. It definitely helps the channel go a long way. And if you have not already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are a growing channel, and we want to cover a lot more in this fish room. If you've been following along with the channel for quite some time, you know that some big things are coming to the fish room shortly. So stay tuned, and I'll see you all later. Peace.